Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Crypto.com coin, VeChain, Telcoin, MegaWeapon, and Kitty Inu. So we have a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so starting out with the Bitcoin daily chart, we got the move down toward 40,000. And if you guys have seen my recent videos, you know exactly why I was looking for that move. And it all has to do with what Bitcoin has done ever since the start of 2021, every time it puts in a liquidation wick. So what I mean by liquidation wick is it's basically a candle where you get a cascade of liquidations, and then later in the session, you get a bounce. So you get a lot of liquidations, then you get people buying the bottom, so you get that long lower wick. Okay, so looking at these red arrows here, you can see that these are all of the liquidation candles ever since the start of 2021. Okay, at least the major ones. And you can see that every time we get that liquidation wick, Bitcoin tends to move just below it, okay, about 4 to 8% below that wick before bottoming. And we saw the same exact thing happen here at 42. So we moved about 5.7% below 42,000 before bottoming, and we've seen some nice follow through since then. So you guys know that I had a lot of bids placed between 40 and 42,000. So I have had a lot of those bids fill. I still have some below 40,000 just in case, okay, down here, but I am in a long position here, spot only. I'm not using leverage. Now, the first area I'm looking at as far as resistance goes is going to be up here at 45,600 based on these lows up here. And it's also the top of this descending channel. So you can see that based off of these highs up here, these lows, that we have this descending channel. And you can also see where the low a couple days ago bounced right off of channel support. Okay, so this up here at 45,600 is going to be a confluence of resistance. We need to see Bitcoin close above this in order to flip it back to support and also expose that area between $50,000 and $53,000. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of that position off that I have here, not all of it, but just a partial profit up here at 45,600, just because I don't know if we're going to get that move above this area or if we're going to see a rotation lower from 45,600. So just to play it safe, I'm going to take a little bit of profit off up in that area. But I do want to show you one thing that Bitcoin could do here over the coming weeks that I do find kind of interesting. So let's just imagine for a second, this is a bit speculative, but let's just assume that Bitcoin does get through 45,600 and we flip that area to support and then get a move up here toward 50 to 53,000. Now, this is obviously going to be a critical resistance area. Okay, so there's a good chance that if we were to see it tested, that we get a retracement. Now, the retracement is probably going to come down here into this area here, right around 45,600. All right, that would only be natural to see Bitcoin retest that region. Now, if this served as support and we got to move back up, guess what you have now? You have an inverse head and shoulders. Okay, with the head down here, left shoulder over here, right shoulder at 45,600. Now, the measured objective in this case would be up above $60,000. Okay, because this would be basically a $12,000 pattern from the neckline up here down to the low. And like I said, this is very speculative. You know, it hasn't happened yet. This is a more bullish scenario. But if we were to see Bitcoin get above 45,600, test 53 or even 50 up here, then that could very well set up an inverse head and shoulders where we get a move up above $60,000 later this year. Now, alternatively, if we do see Bitcoin rotate lower from this area, so from this confluence of resistance right around this $45,000 to $46,000 area, then we could see a move back down here into support, okay, to give us maybe a double bottom of sorts. Okay, but I'm going to be bullish here in the short term on Bitcoin as long as we're above really this area all the way down toward 38 up here to 42. I think this entire area is support for Bitcoin just based on the price action here over the past 12 months. Because you can see how this region between 40 and 42 has triggered a lot of reversals here over the past 12 months. Okay, so it would be silly of me to get bearish on Bitcoin as long as we're above that $40,000 to $42,000 area. So I am going to stay bullish on Bitcoin as long as we're above that region. And as I said, I will take off some of my long position up here, get above 46,000, this region up here on a daily closing basis, flip this back to support. And I do think we get that move up toward $50,000 to $53,000. So next up we have Ethereum, and this market too dropped right into a support area that I've talked about for the past few weeks. So you can see that back here, this area right around 28 to 2900 was resistance. It was then support through here. And furthermore, if you look at this range between 1700, okay, so these lows down here and the all-time high, you can see that the 50% retracement comes in right in that same area. Okay, so right around $28 to $2,900, this was always likely to be support. And just like with Bitcoin, we do have this descending channel based on these highs up here, okay, and these recent lows. So you can see how this became a confluence of support down here for Ethereum. Now, we've since seen Ethereum close back above 3170, and that is significant just because if you look at the price action back here in this area, notice how this area right around 3170 was support back here and then resistance. Okay, so with the market closing back above this level, any rotation into 3170 should trigger a bounce. It should attract buyers. Now, the next resistance area to watch for Ethereum is going to be right around 3600. So notice these highs back here. We then had lows throughout this area. Now, this is also the top of that descending channel. Okay, so this region up here at 3600 is going to be a confluence of resistance. Ethereum has to close above this region to flip it to support and expose the $4,000 area. Now, $4,000 is going to be the big test for Ethereum, and that's because if you look at the weekly chart, all right, you can see how $4,000 was resistance back here. The market closed above it, served as support through this area, then Ethereum closed back below $4,000. So it's going to have to get back above this area in order to turn bullish again. Until it does that, guys, you have to take what the market gives you and be careful getting too bullish here, because we're no longer in 2021 where, like I've said recently, where you can just buy anywhere and you're guaranteed to make money. This is a very sideways market. Ethereum dropped back below $4,000 after closing above it up here. So that's technically a false break. Okay, so even though we could see a move up toward 3,600 or potentially back toward $4,000, I think you have to be careful getting too bullish here as long as the market is below that $4,000 mark. Okay, if it gets back above it, that's different. But as long as it's below it, just play the range and take what the market gives you. So next up, we have the Crypto.com coin, CRO. So this is CRO USDT. And obviously this market, like a lot of others, has had a huge run recently. Going back toward really all of 2021, you can see where this market moved up about 1,700%. And lately too, back here, it had a really nice run during this period. Now, since that time, we have had a pullback. The market's just consolidating, and it did drop below a key level here recently. Okay, so right now, CRO is kind of battling this area right around 50 cents. You can see where this level served as a pivot back here, support here, support once again here, and then also just support a couple days ago. So CRO has to get back above 50 cents, but also this trend line off of the all-time high. So this creates a confluence of resistance right between maybe 50 and 53 cents to where CRO has to get back above this on a daily closing basis to flip it back to support and also expose 65 cents. Okay, so 65 cents would be the next resistance level above that 50 to 53 cent area. But right now, it's just a very sideways market. If the market does rotate lower from this area, then you're going to want to keep an eye on this next region down here around 40 cents. So this is going to be the next support area if we were to see the market rotate lower from resistance. Okay, so bottom line here, guys, really simple. The market has to get above 50 to 53 to turn bullish again up towards 65. If we do see a rotation lower from this area, keep an eye on that 40 cent support. So next up is VeChain or VET, and this market is coming off of support. So we have this trend line off of the May low. We've talked about this trend line over the past couple weeks, and the market technically dipped just below it if you do use this low back here on December 4th. However, this is where trend lines can be a bit speculative, because if you did use the very low from back here, then this trend line would be a little bit lower. Okay, so if you use this low here, then technically VET didn't close below it, it actually bounced right from it. Okay, but regardless, this down here right around 7 cents is support. I've talked about that area at length, and the next resistance for VET is going to be up here around 9 cents. So this is going to be a confluence of resistance. You can see we have this short-term trend line here and also this horizontal level. Now, this hasn't been the most resilient level just because we've had a lot of closes above it and back below it. So it served as support back here, resistance, we closed above it, closed back below it, and then it became resistance again. So this is really more of a pivot, but regardless, VET still has to get back above this area right around 8.8 cents. Now, if it were to close above this, there's a chance we could see a move up here toward 10 cents. That's going to be the next key level. You can see back here, this level has also served as a pivot here over the past few months. Okay, so above this area right around 9 cents, we probably see 10 cents. Above that is the region just above 12 cents. Now, if we do see the market rotate lower from, let's say, 9 cents, okay, this area once again is going to be support. But as far as the must-hold support for VET, and we've discussed this recently too, looking at the weekly time frame, you can see where going back toward 2018, this trend line right here is going to be crucial. And sure enough, it lines up right in that 6 to 6.5 cent area, which you can also see is right where VET has found support throughout 2021. Okay, so the must hold for VET is going to be right around 6 cents to 6.5 cents. We want to see that area hold on a daily and weekly closing basis. Anything below this, things could get ugly. But as long as VET is above that, things still look pretty constructive here because the market is still in an uptrend. And so far, it's really just been going sideways. So I know a lot of people are complaining about VET not, gaining 1,000% every week. But so far, since 2021, it's actually held up pretty well. So on that note, like I said recently too, not financial advice, but if you are dollar cost averaging for a longer term hold, I see nothing wrong with buying on these dips. Now, if you are looking to trade this, it's a little bit more difficult just because we have this very sideways market right now. Okay, so still a lot of indecision here. But again, if you're buying a market that is 70% off its all-time high for long-term hold, and it's done this recently, like I said, I see nothing wrong with that. I think that anything down here into this area around 6 cents historically has done very, very well. Okay, so not financial advice, but if you're looking for a longer term hold, yeah, I would be a buyer at 6 cents, okay, or even 6.5 cents. So will we see the market that low? I think there's a chance if we were to see Bitcoin rotate lower again into $40,000. But as of right now, the market is holding above this area right around 7 cents. So hold that, get back above 9 cents, and I do think we could see a move up toward 10 cents or even 12 cents. So next up we have Telcoin. This is TEL USDT. And I want to start here with kind of a zoomed out view of the daily chart because I think it's important to keep this in mind when you're analyzing any market just to kind of see where it's been. And from this low down here in December of 2020 up to the all-time high, Telcoin is up about 50,000%. All right, 50,000%. So it's very natural that after a move like this, that you're going to get a lot of sideways action. All right, so this is no surprise. And it is a very sideways market. And it's why I've been saying that I think you have to take what the market gives you and just kind of play the range right now instead of looking for moves like we saw in 2021 because we're not in that environment. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the short-term price action, which you can see where we have this trend line off of this high up here. Okay, so off of this high up here, you can see that we have several highs along this trend line and today is testing it. Now, this looks very similar to the trend line that we had back here. All right, so back here off the all-time high, you can see where we had a similar trend line where the market broke out here, retested it as support, and then moved higher. So we could see something very similar like this play out if Telcoin can get above this trend line on a daily closing basis. Now, what I want to point out is if you'll notice back here, the market didn't just break out from this trend line and then just move higher immediately. Instead, we kind of had this elongated retest of this area as new support. All right, so what we could see happen here, if we got something similar, is we could see TEL break out from this trend line. So if it can close above this today, that would confirm the breakout. We then get a short-term move, maybe up into these lows back here. And then we get a rotation lower and a retest of this area. Okay, so I would want to be a buyer anywhere down here, right around 0.009, all the way up to a penny. And from there, if we did see Telcoin break out from this, retest this area as new support, and that holds, then the percentage gain from this area down here up to the next resistance right around 1.4 cents is about 47%. So that's a nice gain. And the reason this is going to be resistance is because you'll notice back here it was support through here, and then it flipped to resistance. So in the short term, if you are looking to play this range, that is just one idea that you could look for a breakout from this trend line, retest of this area down here around 0.009 to 1 cent, and then get that move up toward 1.4 cents for about that 40 to 50% gain. Okay, so just one idea, but in the longer run, the market still looks relatively healthy just because it's going sideways after, like I said, what was a 50,000% gain. So we'll see if the market can eventually later this year maybe break out from this area. All right, so maybe just kind of consolidate down here and then eventually break out from this trend line to continue that uptrend. Okay, but for right now, guys, very sideways market. So this is one of those cases where you really just have to play the range instead of looking for those home runs. So next up is a play to earn token. The game is called MegaWeapon. The token is Weapon, WEAPON. Now it is available on Uniswap, so it's on the Ethereum blockchain, and they're coming out with a battle arena style play to earn game. They have staking coming out within the next few weeks. The game is slated for later this quarter. Okay, so I was talking about this back here in December when the market was trading just above $1. And since that time, you can see that over the weekend, it did reach up to about $4.50. So a nice gain since I was talking about it back here. Now I haven't sold anything yet. And that's just because with staking coming out, the game coming out within the next few months, I think it would be a mistake to sell right now. Furthermore, there are only 10 million tokens here. So you have to understand that even at $2.78, this is still only a $27 million market cap, which I think is very low considering the staking that's coming out and the way the game looks, which is going to come out in the next few months. So lots of potential here. And as I mentioned in the last video, this area up here, right around $3.50 to $4, this was always likely to be resistance because it is the all-time high, and support for this market comes in down here right around $1.70. So you can see back here how this was resistance. So it's only natural to assume that any rotation into $1.70 is going to be met with a lot of buying pressure. Now, the potential here, I think anything from $10, $20, $30 over the next few months is very possible because even at $10, that's a $100 million market cap, which staking a successful play to earn game, I think $100 million plus as far as a market cap goes is more than reasonable. So if we do get that move down here toward $1.70, I will probably look to buy more and even average up from my buys down here in December. All right, so this is just how I'm playing it. Obviously not financial advice, but I do think that MegaWeapon has a ton of potential here over the next few months and even years. And last but not least is Kitty Inu. So the token here is Kitty, Kitty. It is a play to earn token. It's not a meme coin. It's available on Uniswap and also PancakeSwap. So the game they're coming out with is called Kitty Kart. It's very similar to Mario Kart. Just think of it as being able to play as your favorite NFT characters. So from the game teasers I've seen so far, I have a lot of confidence in the game. I have every confidence in the team. They're very active in the community. And I was buying this token back here in October. Now, obviously we had a nice run up following those buy-ins, but then we've seen a considerable drop from the all-time high. Now, today's price puts the market cap right around $25 million, which in my opinion, for a project that has the beta release of the game coming out in the next 4 weeks or so, and the full game slated for later this quarter, I think that $25 million is kind of a steal. And that's just my opinion. It's not financial advice. But the reason I think that is because back here at the high, this market was up around a $200 million market cap. Now, I was buying again down here. I haven't sold a single token. I was basically just averaging down for my buy-ins in October, and I bought twice. So I bought once down here on this low and once through this area. Okay, so the reason I did that is if you guys saw last week's video, I mentioned this support area, which by the way, if you bought down here at that support that I mentioned, you would already be up about 80%. Okay. Now, the reason this level is significant for the market is if you look at from the inception point of Kitty Inu, up to the all-time high. Notice where the 786 fib comes in right here at support. Okay, so we had support down here. You can also see back here on the intraday charts that this area was a key pivot in the market. Now, furthermore, if you notice here on the weekly time frame, all right, so if we go out to the weekly, you'll see a bullish pin bar that formed right off of this level. So this is essentially a buy signal on the weekly time frame right from the 786 fib. And like I said, with the beta release coming out in the next few weeks, the full game later this quarter, I think that what we could see from Kitty Inu is something like this, where we have this higher macro low that forms. And then over the next few weeks and months, we do get that move higher up here into this resistance area. Now, I'm by no means trying to cap this chart. I do think that it could move even higher this over the longer term, but looking at this chart right now, even from current levels, if you didn't buy in down here, even from current levels up here to this resistance, it's about a 6 to 7x. Okay, so that's just in the short term over the next month or two. I do think we could get a move like that. And that's just, again, with the beta release coming out in the next few weeks and the full game later this quarter. So a lot of potential here, in my opinion. It's trading right around a $25 million market cap right now. So I bought more twice over the past week just because I do think it has that potential. So I'm definitely putting my money where my mouth is. This isn't just something I'm talking about. I'm also actively buying this. So not financial advice. It's just my opinion, guys. But I do think this has a lot of upside here over the coming weeks and months. All right, so I hope that this video has helped you guys kind of put the market into context. And if it has and you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel and also click that bell icon to get notifications. Smash the like button and don't forget to leave your comment below. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.